childhood
I
up,
know.
to render such a possibility a matter for taking seriously, because well, of course, one doesn't like to make sweeping statements about the way everybody's been educated, but I'm thinking of myself from a child upward, all the way through graduate school, accumulating a lot of this knowledge that you've been talking about. I don't remember anybody saying to me, or even pointing me to a literature that so categorically makes this distinction between one and the other as, in terms of each other, not accessible to each other through passage.
No. Quite.
Now, I'm correct in understanding you there,
quite right.
aren't I?
Quite right.
Maybe I could just say this as an aside.
The fragment can't become the whole.
No, the fragment cannot become the whole in and of itself.
But the fragment is always trying to become the whole.
Exactly. Now, of course, in the years of very serious and devoted contemplation and exploration of this, which quite clearly you have undertaken with great passion, I suppose it must have occurred to you that the first sight of this, while one is in a condition of the observer, must be very frightening. In the condition of the observer, the thought that there is no passage.
No, but you see, I never looked at it that way. If you will.
But please tell me how you looked at it. This, please.
From childhood, I never thought I was a Hindu.
I see.
I never thought, when I was educated in England and all the rest of it, that I was European. I never was caught in that trap. I don't know how it happened. I was never caught in the trap.
When you were quite little then,
yes,
and your playmates said to you, well, now look, you're a Hindu. What did you say?
I probably put on Hinduism, all the trappings of Brahman tradition. I was, but it never penetrated deeply.
As we say in the vernacular, it never got to you.
It never got to me, that's right.
I see. That's very remarkable. That is extraordinary. The vast number of people in the world seem to have been got to with respect to this.
That's why I think, you see, propaganda has become the means of change.
Yes.
Propaganda is not truth. Repetition is not truth.
It's a form of violence, too.
That just...
Yes.
So, a mind that says, that merely observes, doesn't react to what it observes, according to its conditioning, which means there is no observer at any time. Therefore, no division. It happened to me, I don't know how it happened, but it's happened. And in observing all this, I see in every human relationship, every kind of human relationship, there is this division, and therefore violence. And to me, the very essence of non-relationship is the factor of me and you.
I was just trying to go back in my own personal history and think of when I was a child. I did, while accepting that I was different, I did believe that. I did come to accept that. There was something else, however, that always held me very, very hard to center in terms of making an ultimate issue of that. And that was an experience I had when I was rowing a boat. I spent some time in Scandinavia as a child, and I used to take the boat out on the fjord every day. And when I would row, I was profoundly moved by the action of the water when I moved the oar, because I lifted the oar out of the water, and there was a separation in substance between the water and the oar, but the water, which was necessary for support and for purchase so that I could propel myself, never lost touch with itself. It always turned into itself without ever having left itself in the beginning. And once in a while I would laugh at myself and say, if anyone catches you looking at this water any longer than you're doing, they'll think that you're clear out of your mind. So this is the observer talking to himself, of course. But that made such a profound impression on me that I think it was what you might call a little salvation for me. And I never lost that. So maybe there's some relationship between that apprehension, which I think changed my being, and what it is that you're talking about as one who never ever suffered this sense of separation at all. Yes, please go ahead.
So that brings us to the point, sir, doesn't it? Can the human mind, which has evolved in separation,
yes,
in fragmentations,
this is where evolution is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can such a mind transform, undergo a regeneration which is not produced by influence, by propaganda, by threat and punishment? Because if it changes because it's going to get a reward, then
it hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed.
No.
So that is one of the fundamental things which one has to ask and answer it in action, not in words.
In action. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Which is, my mind, the human mind, has evolved in contradiction, in duality. The me and the not me. Has evolved in this traditional cleavage, division, fragmentation. Now, can that mind observe this fact, observe without the observer, and only then there is a regeneration? As long as there is an observer observing this, then there is a conflict. I don't know if I make it.
Yes, you do. You make yourself very clear on two levels. On the level of discourse alone, which I know is not your major concern, on the level of discourse alone, it necessarily follows that it must be the case that this possibility exists. Otherwise, we would be talking nonsense. But then the agony of the situation at large that we have been describing is simply that whether this can be done or no never occurs to a person, and in the absence of it even occurring, the repetition is going to continue indefinitely, and things are going to get worse and worse.
So the difficulty is most people won't even listen.
I'm sighing. I know that.
Won't listen. If they do listen, they listen with their conclusions. If I'm a communist, I will listen to you up to a point. After that, I won't listen.